Hello all and welcome to post-work late night beer review. It's almost 10:30 at night. And yeah, going to do a beer review and I'm going to dub this one I Need to See the Audiologist Again beer review. Some of you might have noticed from my videos I'm completely deaf on one side and I have impaired hearing on the other. And something happened within the past week and yeah, suddenly I can't hear anywhere near as well as I did a few days ago. So yeah, I need to go and call the audiologist and make an appointment and see what's going on. Um, it always weighs heavy on me because I know I'm going to eventually lose my hearing fairly young, and that's going to do a number on my life for a bunch of reasons. And every time I have to go, it all for whatever time, it always feels like, is this going to be the time where they say, yeah, it's starting to go now. And yeah, I guess I should just go to the beer review rather than, have this sort of medical confessional moment here. Anyways, what are we reviewing? Well, we are reviewing a beer from basically one of my favorite local brewers, and that is, of course, Big Island Brewhaus. I haven't reviewed anything from them for a while because most of the time when I was reviewing them before, it was from growler fills from Three Peaks, and unfortunately, Three Peaks has closed. I heard some rumblings on the internet that they were going to reopen in Waikiki. Not like I'm ever going to go down to Waikiki to go and. Waikiki is not a place that locals go to. It's a place for tourists and people who don't own cars. But yeah, they don't actually can or bottle much. They're fairly small, both as a brewery and in production volume. So they don't produce very many barrels, since they are located in the rural part of the Big Island. But they do some really good, solid beers. And I haven't had a chance to go and review any of them for a while. Now this one is Paniolo Pale Ale, and it is of course an American style pale ale, 5.7 ABV. And going from the reviews, I think they might have recently tweaked the recipe a little bit because like the pictures don't quite look the same between older and newer ones, and some of the older reviews state this as 6.0 ABV instead of 5.7. And it seems like even like the description. So reading the back here, it doesn't. So the older description on websites like Beer Advocate and Untapped, lists something that uses Maris Otter and Centennial hops, uh, and seems to be a little bit brighter than what this one was. So I'm just going to read the back of this one here. Our Hawaiian Cowboys favorite, a classic crowd pleaser, bold, robust, and refreshing. American hops bring beautiful notes of citrus and wildflowers to harmonize with lightly toasted malt. Unfiltered, keep chilled, drink fresh. This is fairly fresh here, 2024, 5/20. So May 20th, 2024. This beer is barely a month old. That's how I like my beers, nice and fresh. Well, these styles, in which the hops really matter, yeah, I like them nice and fresh. So without further ado, let's just go and pour this out, shall we? So, a nice orange yellow, cloudy, of course, because it's unfiltered, but with a lot of carbonation. I don't think you can see it that well. Well, maybe now, since it's decided to go close. No, not really. And a fizzy to frothy white head. Hmm. Crackery to bready malts. Slightly toasty. But yeah, lots of floral hop notes, and underneath that, a citrus base. Well integrated, not too complex, but it's an American pale ale. I'm not supposed to be blown away by it, at least by like highly complex tasting notes. Okay, onto the palate now, shall we? Mm. Mm. Yeah, in the finish, this is wonderful toasty top note, you know, but the malts aren't really on the palate. It's just in the top note. There's a ghost of hop bitterness in the long finish, and it's kind of interesting how like the malts are the top note in the long finish, while the hopping is the on the palate in the long finish. Up front, a subtle lemoniness with a very, very subtle honeyed sweetness in the front to mids before the hop bitterness gets a lot stronger in the mid palate, relatively speaking, for the style. Top note in the front to mids is a mixture of floral hopping and some light toastiness. Despite all the toastiness in the top note and a bit on the palate, not too much, it doesn't come across as dark. It still comes across as quite bright because of the hopping. You know, that lemoniness definitely brightens it up on my palate. I almost feel like I'm trying to describe synesthesia right now. It's like, well, it tastes dark, it tastes light. It's toasty, but it doesn't taste dark. I guess that's the best way I can explain it. Yeah, some brighter floral hop notes emerge in the top note in the mid to finish. It's there is bitterness in the mids, but like I said, it's balanced. It's well within style guidelines. Just that subtle interplay in between very slight honey sweetness and hop bitterness there. There's not much maltiness on the palate, I would say, which is fine because it's showing up in other areas. You know, so it warms up a little bit. A slight dankness is starting to emerge in the hoppiness, but still overall mostly floral with a slight citrus to it. So yeah, not a lot of different taste notes there, but how they all interact is kind of interesting and dynamic on, in between my nose and my tongue. And so I have to say this is another great beer from Big Island Brewhaus. Just taking a simple, non-complex style and just making it within that style simple and non-complex, but still very interesting, if you get my gist. Mouthfeel wise, decent amount carbonation bite. Feels at pretty much exactly what the ABV should be, not too light, not too heavy. This is a pretty darn good pale ale, I have to say. Nothing is too in your face and nothing is too blah. A lot of pale ales, something is either too malty or too hoppy, or it's just overall blah. This is a well-made one for the style. And with that, this is kind of an expensive beer. I'm going to be straight with you. This costs far more than I would be willing to pay if I didn't know this particular brewer and how great their beers are. I would not pay the amount I paid for this sixer. I believe it was like $15 or $16 or something like that. But I gladly paid for it when I saw it because I do love this brewer so much, and I wasn't disappointed. I can't remember if I've been disappointed by them in the past. I'm not going to go through all my videos and find out, but let's just say they have a very, very good hitting record. So if you're ever in Hawaii and you have a chance to go and try something by Big Island Brewhaus, do so. I mean, they are one of the most ones that they're one of the ones that you know really fly under the radar of the local beer scene. And that, folks, is your beer review for this late evening. Time for some cheese. Cheers.